Now testing that All right. Thank you. Good evening. Well, the time is 6 o'clock and the regular board meeting of the Santa Maria Avenida School District. Excuse me? Okay, I'm gonna go. The time is now 6:02 and the regular school board meeting of the Santa Maria Avenida School District is now in session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cordero?
Here.
Mr. Valencia?
Present.
Mr. Hollinshead?
Present.
Mr. Lara?
Here.
Ms. Cabal?
Present. Report from closed session for items A, B, and C. Information was shared. For item D, the board approved the settlement agreement with SMEA concerning certificated employees 310 and 2542. The agreement provides for payment to the employee in exchange for a full and complete resolution of the back pay and retirement contributions issued related to the employee in PERB decision number HOU 1761. The vote was unanimous for approval. The interpreters for today, this evening, are Cesar Ruiz and Sandra Carranza. Greeting and support is provided by Karen Ramirez Espinosa and Maria Cortez. In the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Hollins, would you lead? Go ahead.
And ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And so recognitions this evening. Community Friends of Santa Barbara check presentation. Is Mr. Segura present?
All right, there we go. Thank you. Right. Good evening, everybody. Trustees, Dr. McDuffie, cabinet, friends, thank you very much for being here. We have so many wonderful community allies who not only believe in the work that we do here in the SMBSD, but they're willing to commit their time, their energy, their talent, and their resources to help support that work. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to one of those groups. The Community Friends of Santa Barbara are a group of volunteers that have become such a blessing to our students and the families in our valley. It's not enough that they don't just say no to any child or any request, but they actually go above and beyond in order to help support our students. They are constantly asking us, what else do you need? This amazing group of volunteers has been so very generous to our students, providing many tens of thousands of dollars worth of clothing, dental kits, blankets, jackets, and other badly needed supplies to students across our district. I would like to introduce to you Community Friends of Santa Barbara President-elect Susan Hubbard, who will introduce the rest of her team.
Thank you, Jose. I'm just very grateful to be able to be here, and we are very grateful to be able to help your students. I'm president-elect. Our president, Julia Cirincione, is our chair of and vice president for our philanthropic programs. Nikki Ricard and Chris Nelson head the program that clothes and helps the children here in North County. They actually should speak to you about how many hundreds and hundreds of kids they've done. I don't know exactly, but I loved being in on the fact that we were able to donate food resources in early December. So I know that you're very grateful to us, but frankly, we're very grateful to you because we love helping and we know these kids need our help and it makes us feel really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I would like to close by saying that tonight, the Community Friends of Santa Barbara are here to take their generosity to the next level. As Susan just mentioned, they made a cash donation to our district of $20,000. That money went to providing meals over the holidays, both Thanksgiving and Christmas, to over 500 San Bernardino families. So thank you very much. Community Friends, I love your name, Community Friends of Santa Barbara. You really have been a blessing to our families. We look forward to continuing to work with you into the future. We had a little bit of conversation about that today. And so I could not be more happy to be part of the work that you do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I'd love to invite the board to come down, say hello, maybe take a couple of pictures with the Community Friends of Santa Barbara.
Thank you so much. That was very kind of you.
Good night. All right. And then our next recognition comes from Mr. Juaregi for the International Avid Staff Developer of the Year Award.
Ah, ah. I could say a joke, but I'm not going to go there. Good evening, Board President Cabral, trustees, Dr. McDuffie, cabinet, district staff, and community. Tonight, I have the privilege of celebrating one of our own, Mrs. Robin Elak, who was recently named Avid Staff Developer of the Year, a prestigious national level recognition awarded in honor of Avid's 45th anniversary. This is a significant accomplishment and one that brings tremendous pride to our district, school site, and community. While Robin is being recognized on a national stage, the true benefit of her work is felt every day right here in Santa Maria. At El Camino Junior High, she supports and mentors educators, leads high-impact professional learning, and helps embed Avid strategies that strengthen instruction and expand opportunities for all students. Her leadership directly supports our site goal of cultivating excellence, which she models and helps create on a daily basis. Robin also embodies one of our district's core beliefs that all people belong, have a voice, and can contribute. She builds systems and learning spaces where educators feel valued and empowered, and that culture ultimately translates into stronger outcomes for our students. We are incredibly fortunate to have Robin's nationally recognized expertise serving our students, staff, and our community. Please help me in congratulating Robin on this well-deserved honor, and thank you for allowing me to share this moment of celebration. Ms. Elak.
Thank you, everyone. This is quite an honor. Thank you. I just appreciate it. And it's the biggest thing I always say is my biggest reward out of this is that I get to work at the same school that I attended and give back to the same students that I was once there as a student. So that's my greatest pride, that I'm a product of this district and I'm able to give back to it in the same way it gave to me.
Another picture?
We will be doing pictures. Thank you for,
Thank you.
Robin Elak, for the services to our school district and our students. On behalf of the Board of Education, we recognize your achievement for being named Avid Staff Developer of the Year. Congratulations.
This is. Don't go there.
All right, man. Right here. Good one. Yes, yes.
If I may. Robin, before you and your family depart, I just want to personally say I've had the pleasure of working with Robin for many, many years. We actually, did our PASC administrative program together many years ago. So it was wonderful to learn alongside her and to see her thriving, in her leadership and serving our El Camino students. To me is one of the highest forms of leadership is serving our young people. And I know the sacrifices that she makes for our young people in our community. So I really want to thank the family for sharing Robin's time and energy with us. She pours so much into, our community. And I know that sometimes can come at a cost. So I'm really grateful to you all for that. I also just want to briefly share that I recently heard somebody disparage El Camino by describing it as Hell Camino. And I got to tell you that it hurt the core of my soul because it is so antithetical to what we know El Camino and our community is about. And so I bring that to, our space to know that sadly, some people's perceptions do not match reality. And I want to make sure that our community understands fully that El Camino is the place to be, that our district is up and coming and continuing to do the good work. And this is just one example of that at a national level. So thank you so much for your commitment to our young people. And thank you to the family again.
And this next, public comment period. Public comments are intended for members of the public to address the board on items involving the school district. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person or subject and 15 minutes total per topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board may, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. Do we have any public comments on agenda items this evening, Dr. McDuffie?
No, we do not. We have 2 public comments on non-agenda items.
Non-agenda items, okay.
First, we have Sonia Morris.
Haven't done this in a while. So good evening, President, board members, superintendent. My name is Sonia Morris. I would like to begin by saying how thankful I am to work for the Santa Maria Bonita School District. I truly love my job. These 33 years have been some of the most meaningful and rewarding years of my life. I was raised in this community. I attended Santa Maria Bonita schools and chose to dedicate my career here because I wanted to give back to the community that gave so much to me. I'm proud of this district and deeply grateful not only for the opportunity to work with our students and fellow educators, but also for the incredible classified staff who support our schools every day. Their dedication and care are essential to the success of our district, and I have truly valued working alongside them throughout my career. I've only spoken before the board a handful of times, and it's always to advocate for our students and to support working conditions for our teachers. Tonight, I humbly come before you, and also on behalf of others that long served as educators who were placed on the ERIP waiting list after many years of service. On May 19th, 2025, I emailed Human Resources to ask to properly participate in the ERIP, and asked how to properly participate. I had heard there may be limited spots and wanted to be sure I followed the correct process. The following day, on May 20th, 2025, I received a response stating that there was no cap for anyone retiring at 59 or older, and that all I needed to do was email my intent between July 1st and January 15th. I was surprised by this, given the concerns surrounding ERIP the year before, and I trusted this information I was given. I relied on the guidance in good faith, and had I been informed that participation was limited to first come, first serve, and I would have, regardless of age, I would have submitted my request immediately and would have been on that list. In January of this year, I was informed I would not be included in the ERIP list and was placed on a waiting list. I was later told that participation was capped to 15 employees at any given time based on contract language. I understand and respect the need to follow contract provisions. However, I was given the incorrect information initially, and I do have email to document this that supports it. The contract also states that in section 12.2.3, the district will limit the number of members participating to a total of 15 at one time. This limit may be exceeded at the discretion of the governing board. I respectfully ask the board to consider exercising that discretion in this situation, not only for me, but for other long-serving educators who are who were also affected. This request is not made lightly. It comes from a place of fairness, transparency, and trust in the process we were advised to follow. I remain deeply committed to this district and profoundly grateful for the career that I've had here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me, for your service to our community, and for your thoughtful consideration. Thank you so much.
We have Jennifer Evans.
Hi. I'm an RTI, or Response to Intervention, is not simply a name for what has historically been called a reading intervention teacher in Santa Maria Bonita School District. Response to Intervention is the name of an educational framework. It's based on a multi-tiered system of support that works to identify and address educational needs. It is driven by data at every stage of implementation, from identification to progress monitoring to assessment of growth. It's an integral part of every effective education model, neither inclusive nor exclusive of special education services. Designed to meet the needs of every learner in our district, Response to Intervention shifts the focus from remediating problems to ensuring each learner receives what he or she needs. I'm a teacher with experience teaching in 3 states over the course of my 26-year career. I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction with an emphasis in language and literacy, a doctorate in educational leadership, and I just completed the requirements for the reading and literacy added authorization last month. From my experience, there are several inherent problems with our implementation of this framework and clear reasons why we've been unable to meet all students' needs within it. First, the tiered system is designed to build upon rather than replace levels of support. Students aren't intended to receive Tier 2 or Tier 3 support, but both. Second, the students that need better and more targeted instruction are often taught by teachers' aides rather than the most highly trained and effective educators. And third, class sizes have been allowed to balloon to unserviceable levels within systems that cannot adequately address student needs. Our RTI pyramid is upside down. Testing data demonstrates that rather than a hefty layer of students that are meeting grade level expectations with Tier 1 alone, more and more students are in need of additional support. Traditionally, our district has poured resources into one tier or another at different times and expected that remedy to fix the systemic problem. Our district first did this by eliminating intervention teachers, instead putting the focus on coaches that were designed to help classroom teachers implement stronger, more rigorous Tier 1 instruction. When these efforts, largely driven by teacher willingness to seek help, failed, our administrators decided to focus on Tier 3 and created new research-aligned RTI positions. However, no amount of its outstanding Tier 3 instruction can negate our need for strong Tier 1 and Tier 2. The answer, it seems clear, is not to eliminate Tier 3 instruction. What we're doing in that tier is aligned with research and data, and it is working. Eliminating it or weakening it has not helped before and will not help now. We need to ensure a strong system for identification of student needs and delivery of services across all tiers. The data and research all indicate a need for a robust, fully supported tiered system. Thank you.
Those are all the comments tonight.
Thank you. Item 9, approval of agenda as presented. May I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
It is moved by Mr. Hollinshead and seconded by Mr. Valencia to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cordero?
Aye.
Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead?
Aye.
Mr. Lara?
Aye.
Ms. Cabral?
Aye. Motion passes. Item 10, consent items. The actions proposed for the consent agenda are consistent with adopted policies and approved district practices and are deemed routine. They will be acted in one motion without discussion unless a board member requests to be removed. Are there any questions regarding the consent items this evening? If no questions, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved by Mr. Valencia and second by Mr. Hollinshead to approve the consent items as presented. Roll call?
Mrs. Cordero?
Aye.
Mr. Valencia?
Aye.
Mr. Hollinshead?
Aye.
Mr. Lara?
Aye.
Ms. Cabral?
Aye. The motion passes. Okay. Item 11, action items A, 2026, 2027, and 2027, 2028 school calendar scheduled holidays. Dr. Bland?
Well, good evening, board, Dr.
Good
McDuffie,
evening.
cabinet, audience. Tonight, I bring to you the proposed Santa Maria Bonita School District calendar is presented to all of you for adoption. In addition, in accordance with Article 8, the scheduled holidays of the agreement between Santa Maria Elementary Education Association, California School Employees Association, Chapter 129, and the district holidays have been updated to coincide, sorry. To coincide with the holidays on the school calendar. And so I present to you the two calendar options for the 26-27 and the 27-28 school years. Sorry about that.
I have a question, Ms. Cabral. Are there any differences between our calendar and the calendar of the Santa Maria Joint School District?
Mr. Beecher, they're very, very similar. These calendars mirror pretty much what our calendars are this year, which really are very similar in alignment with what with Santa Maria joint calendars are. They're very close in alignment. Mr. Beecher, can you speak to any of the nuances?
I won't go deep into the nuances. There are a few differences. One of the challenges is they have a different number of teacher workdays than ours. So that creates a disconnect right away about where we start and stop. And then over the past maybe 4 years or so, the pattern that we've found most preferable, most successful is a start date on a Thursday for the school year. And then second day on the Friday, coming back on the Monday. And I don't know that the high school district sticks to that each year. So that creates another small disconnect. But other than that, the ways that we're looking at holidays, the starts and stops to our academic days are very similar to the high school district.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well, based on the information that you all sent us. It's just so important, right? Because we don't want to put our high school students in a position where sometimes they stay home, right, to take care of the little ones, right, if the days don't match. And so those are things that we've dealt with in the past. So I'm really glad to hear that our calendars are as similar as possible to be in alignment. Thank you.
I've made clear my feelings on this in the past. So I want to acknowledge certainly that calendar can be an emotional issue for whatever reasons. Especially as it's a negotiated item in our district, which most districts it's not, including the high school district, it's not. I don't feel it's in the best interest of good governance to do it the way that we do it. So we've continued to get the same results, the same calendars, not just by observing the high school calendar, but also because SMEA ratifies only two calendar choices. And then we have to pass them or not pass them. And so it basically feels like a rubber stamp. So I don't feel like the process is
a good one. I feel like it's flawed, it's biased, it's not student or staff or academically centered. And we no longer have, as I understand it, unless somebody else that's here has been on the committee, has been in, the board used to be part of a calendar committee. That doesn't happen any longer before, than like it did before. There was a gallery walk a couple of years ago when Mr. Segura was the president. And the only thing around calendar was around teacher burnout, and the part about teacher burnout and fatigue was centered on the end of the school year. And please move spring break forward. If you would take a look at the first calendar versus the second calendar, there's a 3-week difference because of where Easter comes. And we choose to not observe Easter during Holy Week, but the week after. And it also moves because of how Easter is determined according to a lunar calendar, right? I feel like we've had an opportunity to try and change this or do something different. We pilot different things. I feel like we have an opportunity to say, okay, let's try a fixed spring break so that we can have predictability and consistency and do things for academic and student-centered reasons, not emotional or what have you, whatever other reasons we've considered. Certainly, I understand fatigue happening as we get closer to Thanksgiving, which we have had expressed here, but it also happens when, and did last year, when teachers are approaching the end of April and they haven't had a significant break. It also, my high school colleagues have also talked about it, and now we have kids taking AP tests. When it happens at the end of April, it also is pushing right up into AP testing. So just because the high school district, and with all due respect, doesn't change it, and I would encourage them to look at it, they haven't since my wife was on the board, but they can do the same thing. As a matter of fact, they can follow us. We don't necessarily always have to follow them. So I just wanted to speak for the people who have those same thoughts, because the surveys and the numbers of people that were noted here are not large. 55% of teachers and less than 30% of families. So there's obviously people out there whose voice isn't being heard. So I just wanted to speak again this year on behalf of them.
Any further questions? No? Okay, can I get a motion? Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve the calendars as presented.
And I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Mrs. Cordero and second by Mr. Valencia that the Board of Education approve the 2026, 27, and 2027-28 school calendars as scheduled holidays as presented. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Our motion passes 4-1. And item B, Resolution 2514, Black History Month. Dr. McDuffie.
Thank you, President Cabral. Black History Month is celebrated throughout the month of February to honor and celebrate the contribution and sacrifices of thousands of African Americans who have contributed to shaping the nation and its rich culture, heritage, triumphs, and adversities that are part of our country's history. The month is dedicated to recognizing the meaningful impact that individuals of African descent have made to enrich American culture, expand democracy, strengthen families, and make a better society for all. The 2026 Black History Month theme is A Century of Black History Commemorations. To commemorate Black History Month, the Board of Education is asked to review and consider for adoption the attached resolution.
Yeah, one paragraph each. Sound good? Would you like to start, Ms. Cordero?
Whereas February is recognized nationally as Black History Month, a time to honor the history, culture, and contributions of African Americans.
Whereas the 2026 Black History Month theme, quote, "A Century of Black History Commemorations," marks 100 years since the first organized observance of Black history and highlights the importance of teaching and remembering this history. And
Whereas African Americans have made significant contributions to our nation in education, science, government, arts, athletics, and civil rights, and
Whereas the Santa Maria Bonita School District is committed to providing an inclusive educational environment that values diversity, equity, and respect for all students and families.
Now and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Santa Maria Bonita School District hereby recognizes February 2026 as Black History Month and encourages students, staff, and schools to participate in age-appropriate educational activities that celebrate Black history, culture, and contributions. Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 25-14, Black History Month as presented.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Lara and second by Mrs. Cordero that the Board of Education adopt Resolution 2514, Black History Month as presented. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cordero?
Aye.
Mr. Valencia?
aye.
Mr. Hollinshead?
me too.
Mr. Lara?
Aye.
Ms. Cabral?
Aye, motion passes. Item 12, discussion items. New school design update. Mr. Beecher? Are there, oh, sorry. Mr. Beecher.
Are we done?
Yes. No, we're not.
No? Okay.
You haven't started. It's,
Thank you very much, President Cabral. We're super excited to bring to the school board tonight a discussion of the new school design, a discussion about how we got to the point where we are with this design and the celebration, I think, that this represents. I've previewed the presentation a couple different times, and so I know what Mr. Dunkley and Mr. Cavazos are going to share with the school board, the things that they've developed in just a few months, but I would not want to give you the impression that it's just been a few months that this campus has been coming together. I did some research about how long these things have been in the works, and I know some of the early conversations around what we later started calling the Measure K School were more than 10 years ago between Mr. Alvarado and myself, Mr. Ontiveros and myself, and the folks at that time, just kind of dreaming about what might be possible with the property that was out there. Things became more concrete. In January of 2022, we concluded an RFP process to identify potential designers for the school district. And PBK was brought onto the list by board approval. We didn't know much about PBK at the time. We'd had DLR Group / WWCOT and PMSM up until that point doing most of our work. But then they did a fantastic job working through the design of our HVAC projects and some of the problem solving that they had to do. And we really learned about the value that they bring to the table with the comprehensive list of services they have in their shop. On August 9th of 2023, we had a facility master plan workshop over here in FG&H, or maybe it was just F&G, and the DLR group shared with the board what we were planning at the culmination of our master planning process, giving the board a chance to hear and ask questions in advance of presenting for the board's approval, September 27th of 2023, the facility master plan. And it was another very exciting process to spend that much time. And what this presentation is about how this design didn't occur in a vacuum, and you're going to hear about that. But I want to share with you some of that development, because the learning that has occurred, Javier is going to talk about this, goes all the way back to the facility master plan. So that master plan, we learned that there were 4 in-person community listening sessions and 1 virtual community learning session, which was amazing. We had 200 people come into Zoom and participate and engage in 3 different languages in the conversations around the facility master plan. And the reason I know the number was 200 is that was the license limit. We couldn't bring any other people in, but there were probably more on the outside trying to join us. A digital survey of community priorities with 513 responses, student engagement with the student leadership team, 23 of those folks participating, and then a steering committee with 25 participants gathered 5 times to kind of vet all of that data and help shape the master plan. The master plan is available for anyone in the community or the school board to review at smbsdplan.org. If you haven't been there, it is really amazing. It is easy to interact with. It has all of the data that landed in the master plan. And it's hundreds and hundreds of pages, but it's also got presentations, it's got pictures, it's got maps, it's got site plans. It is a really great way to communicate what's in our facility master plan. Javier and his team use it all the time. I hear from principals that they look at it and they think about it and they know kind of what the vision looks like for their school site. It contains a summary and just 6 bullets of what the master plan means. And so I want to share those 6 bullets with the board just to reiterate. It was part of the presentation on the 9th and the 27th. It's been a part of other presentations because this plan governs the things that we do and helps shape the design you see, but the vision we have for facilities. The master plan is to reconfigure elementary schools to transitional kinder to 5th grades and reconfigure junior highs to 6th through 8th grades. It says construct a new DLI dual language immersion campus with 750 students TK through 5th and a new 900 students 6th through 8th grade middle school. Once the new campus is completed, convert Jimenez from K-8 to TK-5 and convert Taylor School to an elementary or to a middle school. And then the last bullet is to add spaces to Jimenez to become a continuum. There's way more detail inside of the facility master plan, but as DLR group and all of the teams that I mentioned worked on how to summarize the plan, those were the bullets that they came up with. On April 2024, I presented to the school board the project list for Measure K and highlighted these same bullets. And the conversation at that time was about what projects might get done first. And we specifically highlighted the need for 60 classrooms in order to be able to offer all-day TK and all-day kindergarten classrooms. And that has been with our growing enrollment and the small class sizes that are required, the priority that's been at the top for Measure K. November 5th goes without saying, the voters provide 62% support for Measure K and it passes. July 10th of 2025, competitive bidding closes on our first issuance and we get about $15 million in cash to fund projects. And then this is what amazed me today, Mr. Dunkley, Mr. Cavazos. September 5th, we signed our award of this project to PBK. They've only been on the job for a few months. And I have to say, The reason that they were selected out of, again, another task order process where we had 7 folks put their hat in the ring to build the new school. We met face to face with 4 of them, I believe, to hear their pitch. But PBK brought to the table a commitment to get this school done on time to open in 2028, 29. The other 3 said, we can put a timeline that gets you there. We don't really think it's going to happen. And when PBK shared their plan with us, they basically said, it can happen if you're committed to this plan. And so far, since the very first day we did our meeting, they've been on board with getting this done quickly and ready for our students in 28, 29 in order to accomplish the bullets that I listed from the facility master plan. And so I just wanted to make sure and acknowledge the expression and then the follow through on that commitment we've received so far from PBK, and just talk about some of the pathway that's led us to this point, so that when Austin and Javier are sharing with you what's happened since September 5th, you know that there was a lot more that led to that point that has been leveraged in what you'll see. So with that, I want to make sure Javier and Austin get a chance to talk to you about this as well.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate that. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Dr. McDuffie, Cabinet, Santa Maria families. This evening, I'm joined with Austin Dunkley with PBK Architects, and he has a really good presentation on the current design, and I'll say that again, the current design for our new elementary and middle school. So it's very fluid. It's still changing as we work through this, but we have something really good that we can share with you guys. But before we get there, I do want to share a little bit more on engagement, and then I also want to make sure that we talk about 3 key parameters that are foundational to this project. Okay, so the first parameter is the size of the property. So the school is being built on a 20-acre parcel. Given the needs for parking, outdoor facilities, and program needs, we need to build a 2-story building. And so what that requires is that both the elementary and the middle school classroom buildings will be 2 stories. And the reason for that is that we just don't have the space to go single story across this property. It's not big enough. The second parameter is the available funding. So the district is allocating $80 million towards this project for us to build this facility. While that is a significant investment, construction costs are estimated to be around $700 to $750 a square foot. So that allows us to design a facility around 110,000 square feet. So with that, there are some compromises that are associated with our budget. And a key compromise is that the middle school gymnasium will not be part of the first phase of construction. And third is time. And Matt had mentioned this. Our goal is to have this school constructed and completed by the 28-29 school year. So we're hoping to have students housed in these 2 schools. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. We're at the starting point right now. But the project team has been operating with urgency to do everything possible for the opportunity to achieve that goal. And then Matt had mentioned this earlier. Back in 2023, the district did conduct extensive outreach and engage with our community partners, our families, our students, and our staff to help shape long-term design strategies for the district. And that work has provided us with a great starting point for this project. We've been able to implement a lot of those ideas and thoughts to begin with on this project itself. Just most recently, we have engaged with our LCAP committee, our leadership, our student leadership group, certificated and classified staff, and district department leaders. I think it's important to mention again that engagement has been part of this process since the beginning and will continue to be part of this process as we continue through this project. So with that, I'll turn it over to Austin.
Good evening, board members. My name is Austin Dunkley with PBK Architects. I'm a principal architect and the lead designer for this project. I am just so thrilled to be here. It's nice to meet you all, and just so thankful that we get to work with your district. It has been an incredible privilege for us, and we do not take it for granted. So without further ado, I'm very excited to share with you the progress that we have made. And yeah, so we'll get right into it. So the project scope is a new TK through 8 campus. We are hitting those master plan numbers exactly. So 750 students for the elementary school, 900 students for the middle school, and targeting a July or August 2028 grand opening for the 2028 school year. The exhibit here on the right, it kind of shows you the breakout of the school. So in this orange color, this is the elementary school. It's going to be on the right-hand side, middle school on the left in blue, and right down the center, we have a spine of shared spaces. So admin building, library and visual performing arts, and multipurpose and dining in the back. Currently, we are working really diligently on our construction documents. But if you back up a few months, we kicked this thing off in early August. And over the last couple months, we've been doing programming, schematic design, concept design. And what we realized is if we split this into multiple packages, a site package and multiple building package, that gives us a real advantage to getting the project done on time. And so for the next few months, we're going to continue with our construction documents. And then the majority of 2026 is going to be working through submittals to DSA, trying to get that approval on time. And then midway through 2026, maybe towards the end, you'll see construction start to take off and continue through 2028 with the grand opening right before the school year. So as Javier has mentioned, there's been a number of engagement sessions that we've gone through, and these have really been critical to our design and where we've landed. So as soon as we kicked the project off in August, we started off with user group meetings, and we just invited everybody to the table. We just wanted to hear from everybody. This was so important to nailing down the program and understanding the needs of all of these groups. So health services, technology, teaching and learning, there's many others listed that you see there. And we did that over 2 days. On the 16th of October, we met with LCAP, we presented, we received feedback from families through Thought Exchange. On the 24th of October, this is probably my favorite one, we met with the student leadership team, had a wonderful session with them, and let me just say that group is more than impressive. The students in there asked some incredibly thoughtful questions, and the leaders of that group, I just can't say enough about them. On the 9th of December, we met with teachers, and on the 12th of January, classified staff. So as we met with these groups, we documented the information in a number of ways. We used Mentimeter, we used ThoughtSpace, we used hand sketching and meeting minutes to keep tabs of that, and just tried to distill all of this information. And there really was so much information that we heard, so many voices, but distill it into common themes that would then carry through the design and help lead us as we worked on this design. So up here we have a few listed. I won't hit on all of them, but flexibility was the number one thing we heard from everybody. It was a single through line. Everybody wants flexible space. That came from the students, it came from staff, it came from maintenance and future-proofing the campus. Another one we heard quite a bit of was outdoor learning being very important. That was a high number one priority for the students. We heard safety and security and controlled access. That was a high priority for parents and families, making sure that the elementary school students were separated from the middle school and there was not any intermingling. Inclusion, accessibility, SPED integration, that was the number one thing that we heard from staff. And then collaboration and small group learning, that was another item that was a very common theme that was repeated multiple times. So as we got these themes, this became our task to take that and to incorporate that into a design that was under construction, or in process of being worked through. And so we'll share a few slides here. This first one is very high level, just showing where the site is intended to be. You'll recognize West Stowell Road, South Depot Street, and we're in this sort of upper quadrant of this zone here. On 3 sides, we're going to have future housing development coming up. And on the right here will be the Santa Maria City Sports Complex. Javier mentioned we have 20 acres to work with. This is our site plan, and you can see that we are really maxing this thing out. Buildings are right in the middle. These are the white rectangles, white shapes that you see. Parking on the north and south side. And then around these buildings, we have a variety of play spaces that we're integrating. This diagram shows our bus loop coming in on the north, and this is also the staff parking lot. On the south side is our main parent and visitor drop-off, and main campus entrance points as well. So we have an elementary entry point, middle school entry point, and a TK kinder entry point as well. Each half of the campus has their own dedicated play area. So elementary school play area is separated on the right-hand side along with TK. Middle school is on the far left-hand side. We also have outdoor learning dedicated to each campus in the core there. This is really one of my favorite exhibits, and this starts to describe what's at the heart of this design. And this goes back to some of those items we talked about, the themes that we heard that carried through. So the way that we're organizing this is elementary on the right, middle school on the left, and shared core spaces down the middle. Admin, library, visual performing arts, multi-purpose. These are intended to be connection points that create a sense of community. Community is something that we did hear as well. And these are shared but controlled shared points on the campus. So our initial concept did not have anything in the middle here. We sort of had this very open courtyard. And after hearing some of these themes, we thought it made sense to bring this library space right to the heart of this. It helped with flexibility. It helped create collaboration space. It also helped with safety and security. We're now able to have these controlled points between buildings where we have fences and landscape barriers that prevent kids from running from one side to the other. You can also see that we're featuring outdoor learning on both sides. That's something that we heard from our user group feedback and the students. And yeah, we'll keep moving here. So next slide. This is a very simple breakdown of the spaces on campus. So on the left, this is our first floor level. Admin right up in the front, library, VAPA, cafeteria, dining. On the right-hand side, this is our elementary school building. So this corner is going to be occupied by Kinder and TK. They have their own little zone here with direct access to their play. Special ed and support spaces are on each floor at each side of the campus. And then first grade rounds out the first floor of the elementary school building. On the second floor, we have second grade, third grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade, each grade level getting 4 classrooms. For the middle school, sixth grade is on the first floor, along with special ed and support spaces, and then science and CTE have their own specialty wing. 7th and 8th grade are on the second floor with additional science and CTE classrooms. This is an aerial view of the campus. What you're looking at here, this is the front entrance admin building. So elementary school entry here, main admin building with a family center right in the middle, and middle school entry on the left. This is that central spine we talked about with the library and then the cafeteria in the background. This is our elementary school 2-story classroom, outdoor learning and quad, and then middle school 2-story wing and outdoor learning space. Here's a shot looking, you're in the elementary school quad. Library would be on your left, 2-story classroom building on your right, dining room and cafeteria on the back. And so you get a sense of what it might feel like to be standing on the interior courtyard of the elementary school. This is a shot of the future outdoor learning space for the elementary school campus. 2-story classroom wing in the background. And now we are on the middle school campus. So a little bit of color difference. These colors have not been set in stone necessarily, but we do want to do something that visually feels different between the two campuses. So they have their own identity. And here's a shot of an outdoor learning area for the middle school campus. And that wraps up the presentation. So I appreciate the time to share and very much open to questions and feedback at this time.
Very interesting. A lot of things seem to be very thoughtfully planned. One question about the outdoor learning areas. Would shade covers be considered for those areas?
Yes, definitely. So we are planning for some sort of shade for each campus. But as much as we can, we're going to try to use trees as well to get natural shade. That's a more cost-effective way of getting the shade. And it's also actually something that we heard directly from the students that they prefer to work in natural environments with plenty of tree cover.
And where would a future gymnasium go?
Sure. We go back to this site plan. We have a space dedicated for that right up here. So this would be in between the middle school blacktop area and the bus drop off.
So the green area that's just above the sport courts?
Yeah, so if you look down the center spine at the back where we have our multi-purpose dining building, if you look to the left of that, you'll get to the middle school blacktop. And just above that blacktop space is a rectangle where the future gym will go.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
How much thought have you all given to ensuring that the different equipment is as green as possible and energy efficient as possible? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the nice things, I guess, about being in California is there are built-in code requirements for sustainability and green building. And so we will be complying with the Cal Green Code Tier 1. That's very equivalent to like somewhere between a LEED Silver and LEED Gold, if you're familiar with LEED terminology.
No.
Okay, well, it is sort of a standard for sustainable design. So we'll be targeting a Cal Green. And so some of the things you'll see there are requirements for electric vehicle charging, solar shade structures will be included, low flow plumbing fixtures, sustainable materials, and so on and so forth.
Excellent. And when it comes to like the safety rails, I believe that the design at Santa Maria High School, just as a specific example for the new building there, they ended up having to raise the level of like the rails. So I would want to make sure that we minimize that, things like that. So being very mindful that we have young people, right, that are going to be sometimes running around when they don't supposed to. So just let's make sure that those rails, are high enough, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great comment. You can see on the second floor where we're showing like a perforated panel here. So
Yeah.
we're not going to take any chances with having openings in this railing or having any sort of ladder steps that kids could climb up on, and then making sure that the height of that rail exceeds 42 inches, which is the bare minimum for a safety rail.
Yeah. Excellent. I really appreciated seeing the vibrancy of the colors. I think that really helps, a campus feel more like a lively space,
Yeah, great.
some schools are critiqued as looking more like prisons, than schools. And so we want to make sure that we are not, engaging in those types of like designs, which are, more dehumanizing, right? Than
Yeah,
activating learning and joy and the things that we're trying to accomplish. So it's nice to see some vibrant color there. I definitely want to continue to encourage that.
Thank you.
And can you talk a little bit about I know at many schools, when parents are dropping off their children, it can be somewhat chaotic in those times. Can you talk about what thought you all have put into mitigating the traffic or trying to create patterns that, ease the flow of traffic?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can go back to this plan here. So we think a lot of the traffic's going to be coming down Stowell or potentially from this connector street off of Blosser. Early on, we had our front entrance here, thinking that we could use this. This made sense for a few reasons, but if there's a large amount of traffic flow, it really made sense to take that entrance and turn it all the way internally here. There's going to be like a cul-de-sac turnaround at this point. And so we're giving as much roadway width away from the larger roads just to get parent traffic in and to the front. And then once you get to that point, for pickup and drop off, we extended the parking as much as we could along this front entry point. We'll have a separate lane just for drop off, and so cars can come through, wrap around and queuing, and there's going to be drop off potential all the way from here, all the way around there if you wanted to maximize that. It's quite a bit of length for that drop off. And if needed, you could configure this in such a way where you had them turn that corner and extend that drop off lane all the way through the center aisle. So that's sort of the safety valve, right? If it starts to feel like this is becoming too large. At the same time, there will be, staggered drop-offs, is my understanding, between elementary and middle school. And so that should help ease some of that as well.
A question related to parking is, did you all discuss at all the benefits or the pros and cons of two-story parking or, subterranean?
Yeah, that's something we heard so many times, is that parking is an issue at many campuses. And so we've taken a look at this in a few different ways just to maximize parking. So right now we're getting close to 400 stalls on campus, which is a pretty good target. As far as two-story or subterranean parking, it was something that was very briefly thought about, but very quickly eliminated, just knowing the budget constraints that we have. That would eat up a pretty large portion of the budget if we were to do that. So at this time, we just have sort of the single level, ground level parking.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Does your firm have any experience with building exterior shade slash gym or basketball structure? If you're familiar with that, I've seen them in many schools, either here or in the South, where there's actually, or in other countries where it's a large shade structure that would be able to accommodate physical education on a rainy day, provide shade, but also provide a place to play basketball or what have you.
Yeah, that's a great design thought, and we do have quite a bit of experience with shade structures of all types, and so some of those have had basketball courts, exterior play courts beneath that shade structure. And it is interesting that you bring that up. We've talked about maybe there's some viability to doing that, in this space here where we were to cover one of those middle school basketball courts, and it's something that I think we're still looking into.
Well, from my vantage point, especially, you're probably not going to be sharing, obviously, between the two campuses, but there's going to be quite a bit of congestion if we're two-story buildings, but only single space for those physical education areas. It's when there's rainy days and things like that, that can provide some kind of respite for getting people, for getting kids doing stuff, but also doubles as that shade. And I think that's one of the reasons you see it a lot in the South and other countries where it's warm.
Yeah, great comment.
Anybody else?
Are we going to have a chance to, Javier, are you and Matt going to answer questions as well? Or are you going to answer questions? Because I don't want to put him on, I don't want to ask questions that you can't answer. So what are we doing in lieu of a gym?
So that's what you had mentioned, an outdoor structure. So we are looking at doing that possibly. We're looking at costs. It could be incorporated into this project as an add alternate, depending on what the bids come in as an add alternate to this project. So that is an opportunity, and we're looking at possibly putting it just to the side of the Science CTE building, which could act as a place for PE, but also could be used by the science and CTE classrooms to come out and work on projects.
And then, I mean, I think one of the other suggestions might be if those things don't pan out, that we could talk to the city about entering into an MOU for Manami for a period of time or something of that nature. Has that been talked about?
We have not looked at that yet, no.
I mean, I think this is part of my problem with how this process has gone. You know, one, we're being presented with a large amount of work that's already been done and put to DSA without having had any input. And Matt mentioned a lot of the timeline. I was involved with a lot of that timeline. We all were presented with much of the information that was involved in that timeline, but none of it talked about having two schools. Matter of fact, none of it has been talked about up until now as being two schools on one site. So to me, that feels like poor governance, right? We the board set direction. We have a fiduciary responsibility to the funds that are being spent for these schools. We've had discussions recently about DLI, and I've been to the first DLI meeting. None of that has involved talking about two schools dedicated to being DLI. We don't know if we even have the students to fill a second DLI, two DLI campuses, or how we would do it. So, you know, that's not really germane to the discussion at this point. But to have done, and I appreciate the work that's been done, it is very thoughtful, but to have that presented to us now as two schools and not have been given that information, not have been involved in the discussion in any way, is really poor governance, and it's really poor communication. I was in the facilities group that met over 5 sessions with DLR and talked about all the different options, and I believe, Mrs. Cordero, you were there as well. None of this was presented as any of the options. When Karen came with DLR and presented to us all the options, they included modernizing or doing things on different campuses and building one school. So the classrooms were being built across schools. There's an equity component here. If I'm on a campus such as Alvin, where I'm squeezing people in and out, kids in and out of a cafeteria all day, just to make it work for lunch, I'm not going to be really stoked on another campus being built somewhere else that's going to do a minimal amount of reducing that capacity without doing something on my campus. One of the ways that we agreed upon this stuff happening, or that presentation, was that there were all kinds of different things happening on all the campuses so that everybody was having their share. This doesn't feel like that. I wouldn't be happy if I was on some of those other campuses. I've talked to teachers. I'm not sure who you engaged with, but I've talked to teachers not knowing any of this, who are wondering what's going to happen to their campus because it's so heavily impacted by students. The numbers may bear out a little bit of exchange, but the feeling on your campus, Mr. Valencia talked about vibrancy and newness and the things that outdoor spaces. We don't have those things on our other campuses. So to present a previous plan that had included engagement and those processes and those other campuses, and then to disregard them, feels really backwards. And when I see a discussion item that says this is already going to DSA, that doesn't, as a board member, that feels like a rubber stamp. We need to be engaged in this process. I just gave you 2 ideas. We have not only a fiduciary responsibility, but we provide the guidance, right? We provide the governance. Model is part of our participation. So this is backwards. This is the bottom of that governance cycle coming back, and we're supposed to decide on something. So I appreciate all the work. And this may come to fruition, but you need to know that the communication needs to be a ton better, a ton better. I don't, the dates and stuff bear none of this. This was mentioned for the first time as an aside. Matt even talked about a school on the campus tonight, not schools. This has been mentioned as one school until a passing mention of schools walking out of a closed session meeting. That doesn't pass the mustard. So if we're going to do this, there needs to be more board involvement, more board engagement. We have a Friday board memo every week. None of this has been in that. None of it. And so that's a complete failure in my estimation. There's a lot to be done. Maybe if we have a middle school, we want a gym, but that wasn't put to us. We came back, you guys came to us with something about not having a gym. And engaged, I mean, yeah, okay, you engaged with the people on the campuses, but we're still not privy to the information. Regardless of your engagement with the other people, we weren't engaged. And so that is not good governance. That's not good process. That's not good communication. And it feels really bad.
Just want to say that bad governance starts with me. And so if there has been communication or lack thereof, then I need to go back and I need to work with my team to make sure that the board is up to date and communicated with. Again, from my point of view or from my perspective, we have gotten the okay from the board in regards to moving forward and doing some of the engagement work and looking at this. I'm not sure as far as whether it was one school or two school and when that was talked about or if that was discussed and in what meeting. But we will look at that, or I will look at that, and we'll update that. But again, I appreciate your honesty, and we will continue to work on our communication in regards to the governance. But I want to thank the staff and their engagement of this process and making sure just in moving forward that everyone within our community has received and gotten input. And as Javier said earlier, it continues to be something that we'll be doing throughout this cycle. So thank you.
Thank you. And if there's no further comment or questions, I'll go ahead and acknowledge receipt of the progress made to date on the new school design as presented. Thank you, Mr. Cavazos. Item 20, new business. Does anyone have new business this evening? Mr. Ms. Cordero?
Happy New Year, everyone. It feels like it's been a really long time since
New business?
Business or board report?
New business?
oh, I'm sorry. I just really cannot hardly hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll work on that.
No.
Okay. And Mr. Valencia?
Yeah, I definitely would like to request, given the increase in ICE activity in our community, I'd be interested in learning more about how it's impacting our students and our staff. And so if the board could receive a presentation on that, I know it's on the minds of a lot of our community, and I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything as a board member. So I'd like to request an agendized item regarding how we're supporting our teachers, our staff, our students, as it relates to the issue of all the ICE activity in our community.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? No? Okay. Item 21, Board and Superintendent Reports. Ms. Cordero.
Okay, well, I'll start again. Happy New Year, everyone. Since today was the first day of students back on campus, I'm anxious to hear how everything went. Couple of things did occur last week. The County School Board Association did have its first meeting of the year, and not all schools in the county have a 3-week break. So there were a few that, were back in session, but after winter break, not a whole lot was happening. But we had asked for a presentation about AI, and a person from the county office named Tiffany Carson gave us a very informative overview of things that need to be considered when we are looking at what is available in terms of AI, what our students might be able to access, how it can be used, and not as a replacement for, doing the work, but more as a supplement. And it was extremely interesting, and I was grateful that I made it to the meeting, getting up early over winter break, because dark mornings, you know how it is. I'm sure it was hard to get up and go to work. I think we've all heard that Governor Newsom has released a new budget proposal that, by all accounts, seems to be pretty positive. Although it varies from county to county, and I think it is always in our best interest to really be aware of things that are going on across the state in terms of how budget is affecting things in terms of changes coming from the federal government, new requirements coming from both state and federal government, and be cautious in how we plan to support our programs to best meet the needs of our students. I will be going on Friday to speak with the student leadership group and just share with them some of the responsibilities that a school board member has, and some of the kinds of things that we look at, and how a lot of the how and why of what it is that we do. So things will start getting busier once everyone is settled in. I'll be out visiting and looking at sports schedules and different things that I can attend. So again, Happy New Year. And I know we had some good rainstorms over the vacation. Let's hope that this 80-degree weather that we're experiencing doesn't confuse all of our plants and egg things into thinking that, okay, it's time to grow. And then we really get winter. So that's it.
Good evening, everyone, and wish you all a happy new year and welcome back to our school year, our new school year. Let's make this one our best one yet. But admittingly, I got to say that my heart is really heavy today because of all the ICE activity that's taken place here in the Santa Maria community and in the Central Coast. We've had dozens of our community members that have essentially been kidnapped by ICE. These are masked agents, right, that are not adhering to the law. And it really, I'm about to start the classroom with my students at Santa Maria High School, right? Our students that attended our schools. And so at the top of my mind is how am I gonna be there, right, for my students? And to you all, how are we gonna show up for our students, right? They've already showed up to our campus. It sounds like for the most part, the first day of school, this has gone relatively smoothly thus far. But I just want to remind our staff that it's on us, right, to support each other and to not pretend that things are normal because they're absolutely not. Our families are hurting. Many of our families are afraid to go shopping for food. Many of our families are too afraid to go to their religious celebrations, to leave their homes. And this is a reality that many in our community are dealing with. I personally can relate to this issue, having family that have been or were undocumented. And I can tell you that that fear it can be debilitating. But I think that this can be an opportunity for our country to come together, to honor each other, to be there for each other, to make our democracy what it can be, what it says it's supposed to be. And that's why I'm requesting this information, right? So we get an update regarding how we can be there for our children, for our students, how we can be there for our families. I know that there's very reputable organizations in our community, many of whom we're partnering with, but I think of organizations like the 805 Undocu Fund. So if you're looking for ways to provide donations to our families in need, there's also organizations like the 805 Rapid Response, which I receive those text messages from them. They report out ICE activity whenever it's been spotted. And I often see things from Carpinteria, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, Lompoc. So this is very much tough times for our community. And so this is an opportunity for us to lean in and be there for our young people. Because my understanding is when young people are exposed to violence, are exposed to these things, it's traumatic. And so it's going to be really difficult for us to expect our young people to focus when they're dealing with so much, that's affecting our nation at the moment. But I'm confident that we can come together and be there for our students in our community and hopefully come out stronger for it. So that's definitely weighing on my mind right now as a board member. I also want to add some sweetness to what I've seen reported recently, which is I saw in one of our weekly updates that a teacher, I believe it was Miss Marin, maybe some other teachers as well, took some of our students to a local panaderia. And so I saw a video of our young people, right, at one of our very popular panaderias. I believe it was La Tapatia. And they were like learning how to make, pan dulce. And I saw, joy, in their faces, some temporary, right, joy given all the hardships we're dealing with. So that gives me hope, right, and that takes place as a result of our teachers, right, leading those efforts. So that's a good example of how we can bring some light to our young people during really, really tough times. I have had the pleasure recently of attending the swearing-in ceremony of Monique Limon, who is our new pro tem for the state of California in the Senate. She's the first Latina to hold that position out of the 50, I believe, that have been the pro tems in the state of California. I believe she's the first mother also to be in that role. And something that I appreciated about her message was that although she's the first Latina to be in this position, her intention is to not be the last. And so that really struck a chord with me because I have been an advocate and will continue to advocate, right, for diversity in all of our levels of leadership. I think it makes our country stronger and better when we have the diversity that makes our nation outstanding. And so I really appreciated her message of hope regarding that point. And as a surprise, former President Kamala Harris was the person that did the swearing-in ceremony for Ms. Monique Limon. So I feel lucky to be a part of the Central Coast community and excited to continue to do the wonderful work that we're doing for young people. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year to everyone as well. I wanted to encourage those who don't know, the city is, city planners are having a planning session on January 22nd at the library in the Shepherd Room at 1:30. And that planning session is around a proposed Amazon fulfillment center that's going to possibly go in on West Stoll. They have not called it that, but that's what it is. They've alluded to a fulfillment center a few times, but they've done their best to keep it discreet. It's typically how they move is they go into cities of lower economic or socioeconomic status and put their fulfillment centers in. But for our purposes, my bigger concern, and even after seeing tonight the possible egress and entry into the new school site, is that traffic is already heavily impacted by trucks coming from the packing sheds on West Stoll towards the freeway. The entity that is representing Amazon has not done anything to mitigate that. They're going to have to do extensive work if they do go through with it, tearing down an additional 2 feet underneath the Stoll to build it to be able to support 74 vans every 24 minutes and 96 trucks a day. That's all going to go down Stoll, which is will heavily impact Santa Maria High School, where our kids cross there at the crosswalk. It'll heavily impact Miller School because those trucks and cars go down not only my street, Speed Street, but Miller and the adjoining other streets that feed that school, and it'll impact Sanchez and Adam School, as well as likely the schools within that general area. So I would encourage folks, if you want to have your voice heard, to either go that day or and speak, as I will be speaking, or write to Cody Graybell, who's the city planner, to that extent. It's not something that I take lightly. There were people, representatives of the ag business, the people representing the packing sheds that had their own concerns about the congestion. I myself have experienced morning peak hours or peak hours when Miller and Stoll is congested to the point where it's difficult to, it backs up far enough to Speed Street that I can't get on to Stoll, or people start coming down my street, either down Palm Court or Speed Street. And so, at any rate, it's going to affect the safety of our kids. And that's really impactful to us. So I would encourage you to at least check it out. Because of the coming of Black History Month, I was kind of reflecting on some things in my life that have made an impression in that respect. And one of them was, and the main one was actually, is one of my favorite books, is a book written by Alex Haley called The Autobiography of Malcolm X. And so I know we talk a lot about Dr. King and his legacy. And I've encouraged people to listen to KRS-One, a song called You Must Learn, to learn about all kinds of other people that have affected our history. But Malcolm X and the story, the autobiography that Mr. Haley tells from the very beginnings of Mr. Shabazz's life through his execution or assassination, reflect the dramatic change that we can all go through and grow towards hope and grow towards love and kindness. And, he had a very different path than Dr. King. And I'll encourage you to read the book if probably most of you have, but if you haven't, I encourage you to read it. But that, very oftentimes he's associated with quotes that, like, by any means necessary, which were reflective of self-empowerment and really having to do things for one's self, especially in the face of racism. In the book, for me, the most profound passage is when he goes and takes his he goes to Mecca, and when he looks around and sees what all the other different Muslim people making that pilgrimage look like and who they are, and shares time with them, he changes dramatically. And I think that's, after that is when he renounces the Nation of Islam. At any rate, I wanted to read some quotes from him because I think the ones that I cited earlier are more often associated with him. And I think they're important to what Mr. Valencia was speaking to, and we all feel. Light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. Another is education is our passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today. And then lastly, hatred and anger are powerless when met with kindness. So I just want to reflect on Mr. Shabazz, Malcolm X, and his legacy, and encourage you if you haven't read it in his autobiography by Alex Haley is it can be a life-changing event.
I just have one thing. I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. And I'm going to get a little bit personal here, but I want to give my condolences to Nicole's family on the passing of her dad. And my thoughts and prayers are with all of you. So I wish him peace and for you and your family.
I don't have any. You can go ahead.
Thank you, President Cabral, board members, and everyone looking at me right now. Happy New Year. It is 2026. We are on the other end of the 20s going into 2030 pretty soon. It's amazing. I want to welcome all the students and staff back this year. I hope everyone had time to reflect and rest. My comments are very very brief as well. I just want to mention that on the 19th, we have Martin Luther King holiday. And on the 18th at Allen Hancock College, there is going to be, see, I had this all like geared up, and now here we go. Martin Luther King celebration, Allen Hancock at Boyd Concert Hall. I think it's 12 to 4. We'll be there as well, right? We'll have a booth there. As well, Reverend Dr. Nelson B. Rivers, the third, will be the speaker there at Allen Hancock on the 12th. I mean, on the 18th. Thank you. We talk about what's going on in our nation in uncertain times, in our communities, and the increase in immigration raids and so forth. And it really is something that is touches us or impacts us in so in such individual ways. I appreciate your comments, Board Member Hollinshead, in regards to the autobiography of Malcolm X, because sometimes we see people in one light, and when you hear the word or you hear the name Malcolm X, you have a particular idea in mind. But read the book. Read the book. And so that's all I will say about that. As far as Martin Luther King Day, all of you, I want you to really reflect upon his words and as we continue to work with our community, as we continue to put our arms around our community, it's important for us to reflect upon the courage that he exhibited during the civil rights movement. We want to affirm that every student, family, and staff deserves welcoming, equitable learning environment here in Santa Maria Bonita. And we want to honor that by the holiday we take January 19th. I want to thank our staff and our students and our families for embodying Dr. King's courage and collaboration. And I'll just leave with a quote from Dr. King. He says, "How wonderfully diverse our communities become when we recognize that the basic dream of a better life, whether we come from near or far, connects us all." And that's what we want here in Santa Maria Bonita School District. That's it.
Great, well, thank you, Dr. McDuffie. Item 12, adjournment. Our next school board meeting of the Santa Maria Bonita School District will be held on Wednesday, February 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in this building. With no further business, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? All right. Meeting adjourned. It is